Oh, Govinda. And everybody knows that today is ISKCON.
Well, I announced it.
Right, for any new arrivals, or you out there in the ether land. Today is Holy ISKCON. We used to think that ISKCON was inauspicious. And to counteract ISKCON, we had to chant extra rounds to compensate for the... When I was at Bhakti, Los Angeles, 1970. And the Kuranda shared that idea with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, no. It's so auspicious that we take advantage of the auspicious atmosphere of ISKCON to minimize our eating and sleeping and increasing our remembrance of Govinda. So that's, and there's a whole story for ISKCON, but that's for another day. Now, I wanted to say one thing. This garland is very beautiful. It's very symmetrical. It's nice, fragrant flowers. The only thing is, it's got this long string. Now, I don't mind, because who am I? But, you know, when Prabhupada wears this, where does that string go? Right on the back of his neck. And the weight, so it's very uncomfortable, actually. So if you're going to make a garland, you know, make it the right length and, you know, flowers all the way so it's comfortable. In India, they have a cheap version, which still is comfortable. They sometimes put pearls. If you're out of flowers or something, I don't know, but at least the string, it's like a guillotine. I mean, no offense, but okay. So I've done my bait. Let me just get set up here. Thank you, Janardhanji. You know, there's a Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says about the 5th canto and the description of the hellish planets. He said it's frightening enough to make the hair on the head of the greatest hero like Hamlet to stand on end. So we're going to read today a spooky and sobering section of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam has it all: drama, suspense, adventure, villains, heroes, heroines, convoluted plot lines that go up, and then at the last minute there's a plot twist, and because it's the Lord and the Lord's devotees' Leela, it's perfect in so many ways. Okay, I think we're ready to go. You want to start there? It's okay with me. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. It's a little bit high. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Divanadari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Jasoranandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasoranandana Brajajana Ranjana Chamunitira Vanatari Chamunitira Vanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Jasoranandana Brajajana Ranjana Chamunatira Vanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Vishwapad Paramhansa Pari Bhajikacharya Siddhashish Manis Divine Grace Abhaicharan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON BBT Founder Charya Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kora Vaishya Vrinda Ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki. Mathura Ki. Dwarka Dham Ki. Navadi Dham Ki. Jagannathpuri Dham Ki. Jamuna Mai Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Sambhita Bhakti Vinda Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Say Siddhara Giridhara Ki. Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jaga Ki. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Divine Ladasita Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Now we are going to need, well, maybe not. Hang on. I think, let's see if my antique is cooperating today. All right. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Sadamo Bhagate Damaganadi Bisaha Kalanasa Dishamesha Parano Koranodata Narayana Namaskricharanam Chaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. The Bhagavatam is Vrinda's son. It's arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied with knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who've lost the vision to the dense darkness of the age of Kali shall get light out of this Purana. Before beginning our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, we should first offer respects to the personality of God in Narayan, the Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, the goddess of the living with the Saraswati, the author Srila Vyasadeva, and my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. We should, Govardhan Prabhu, can you just take a cushion and open this door just a crack so there's just a little fresh air? Thanks. So we are reading from the 6th canto, chapter 9, text 50. Okay. Svayam nishreyasam vidvan na bhakti agyaya karma hi na rati rogino patyam vanchato pi vishaktamaha svayam nishreyasam vidvan navakti agraya karmahi narati rogino patyam vanchatopi vishaktamaha svayam nishreyasam vidvan navyakti agyaya karmahi narati rogino patyam vanchatopi vishaktamaha svayam nishreyasam vidvan navakti agraya karmahi narati rogino patyam vanchatopi vishaktamaha svayam nishreyasam vidvan Vyakti agyaya karmahi narati rogino patyam vanchatopi vishaktamaha svayam nishreyasam vidvan navakti agyaya karmahi narati rogino patyam Vanchatopi Vishaktamaha. Vaishnavis. Svayam Nishayasam Vidvan. Navyakti Gaya Karmavi. Narati Rogino Patyam. Vanchatopi Vishaktamaha. No other volunteers on there? Yeah, go. Next time. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, can I recite?
Of course. Whoever you are. Who are you? Dhanavari Mataji. Take it away.
Thank you. Swayam nishreyasam vidvan.
Swayam nishayasam vidvan.
Navaktya yagnaya karmahi.
Navakti yagnaya karmahi.
Narati rogino patyam.
Narato rogino patyam.
Vanchatopi vaktamaha.
Vanchatopi vishaktamaha. Swayam, personally. Nishreyasam, the supreme goal of life, namely the means of obtaining ecstatic love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vidvan, one who is accomplished in devotional service. Na, not. Bhakti, teaches. Agyaya, unto a foolish person, not conversant with the ultimate goal of life. Karma, fruit of activities. He, indeed. Na, not. Rati, administers. Rogina, unto the patient. Apatyam, something unconsumable. Vanchata, desiring. Api, although. Vishaktamaha, an experienced physician. A pure devotee who is fully accomplished in the science of devotional service will never instruct a foolish person to engage in fruitive activities for material enjoyment, not to speak of helping him in such activities. Such a devotee is like an experienced physician who never encourages a patient to eat food injurious to his health, even if the patient desires it. Also you say, a pure devotee who is fully accomplished in the science of devotional service will never instruct a foolish person to engage in fruitive activities for material enjoyment, not to speak of helping him in such activities. Such a devotee is like an experienced physician who never encourages a patient to eat food injurious to his health, even if the patient desires it. And Prabhupada's purport. Here is the difference between benedictions awarded by the demigods and those awarded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Of course, we've got the demigods praying to Lord Vishnu, please save their position, save their kingdom, save their, from the Vritrasura. Yeah, they're up against an, please restore everything back to our normal condition we were enjoying very nicely. And Prabhupada's drawing the difference between the different benedictions. It's not all one in any place. Devotees of the demigods ask for benedictions simply for sense gratification, and therefore they've been described in Bhagavad Gita 7.20 as bereft of intelligence. Kamastastarhita jnana prapadyante nadevataha tam niyamam ashtaya prakritya niyatasvayaha. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires, surrender to the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Conditioned souls, end quote, conditioned souls are generally bereft of intelligence because of profound desire for sense gratification. They do not know what benedictions to ask for. Therefore, non-devotees are advised in the Shastras to worship various demigods to achieve material benefits. Of course, one could ask why. Because at least get them on the path. At least get them to accept that, hey, I'm dependent on the higher powers and higher sources, and it's not all happening by own whim. And in order to get it, I have to perform some austerity. I have to at least get them to some kind of regulation. Just like we don't allow drinking. But in the Vedas, there's ways that you can drink. Certain time, certain place, because they're going to drink anyway. At least try to limit it and get it into under the Vedic parameter. So that's what it's talking about here. They do not know what benedictions to ask for. Therefore, non-devotees are advised in the Shastra to worship various demigods to achieve material benefits. For example, if one wants a beautiful wife, he is advised to worship Uma or Goddess Durga. If one wants to be cured of a disease, he's advised to worship the sun god. All requests for benedictions from the demigods, however, are due to material lust. What do they say, service is my business? No, business is your business. You know, there used to be a slogan for gas stations. Service is our business. Cruise in there one day, have them fill up your tank, and say, okay, thanks, appreciate the service, and drive off without paying. How many times can you pull that one off? So, no, it's just a slogan. Business is the business. So this is all a mercantile exchange. But at least they're a little humble. The benedictions will... this is a nice line. All requests for benedictions from the demigods, however, are due to material lust. The benedictions will be finished at the end of the cosmic manifestation, as with those who bestow them. Not only are you gone, not only is your benediction gone, but the person who gave it to you is gone. And the whole deck is reshuffled, and who knows where anybody is. If one approaches Lord Vishnu for benedictions, the Lord will give him benediction that will help him return back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajitam Pratipurvakam Tadami Buddhayogam Tam Yena Mam Upayantate. What is that benediction? We're going to find out. It's not, I wanted a new Ferrari and Krishna gave it to it, solved my problems. It's a different... Krishna gives intelligence. He gives a different way of seeing the world, insight. That's the real key to the thing. We'll get into it in a minute. Lord Vishnu, or Lord Krishna, instructs a devotee who constantly engages in his service how to approach him at the end of his material body. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vedisat vata tyakvadeha punar janma naiti mameti sorjuna. Quote, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. End quote. This is the benediction of Lord Vishnu, of Lord Krishna. After giving him his body, a devotee returns home back to Godhead. A devotee may foolishly ask for material benedictions, but Lord Krishna does not give him such benedictions, despite the devotee's prayers. Therefore, people who are very attached to material life do not generally become devotees of Krishna or Vishnu. Rather, they become devotees of the demigods. Kamastastar hita jnana prapadyante nayadevata. The benedictions of the demigods, however, are condemned in Bhagavad Gita. Anantavatu palam tesham tadbhavati alpamedasa. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Non-Vaishnavas, one who is not engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of God, is considered a fool with a small quantity of brain substance. We're going to talk about intelligence today. What does that actually mean? Om Gena Tamarandasya Gena Gena Salakaya Jakshu Shrimilatan Gena Tasanishi Gurave Namaha. The Prabhupada said one time, if I had not introduced the four regulative principles, I would have millions of followers. And we have a practical road test of this principle. The devotees in Rome, they opened the temple. Dhananjaya Prabhu told me this. Prabhupada's Dhananjaya. That nobody spoke Italian. But you know, Italians, they're ready for a party. And we're the Sankirtan party. So they, nice chanting, dancing, feasting. Hey, everybody was on board, no problem. They had a 2-bedroom apartment. It was packed. We're going to have to get a bigger place. Then a devotee showed up from England who spoke Italian. Gave the Sunday talk. After the feast, everybody got up and left, never came back again. The devotee said, what did you say? I said, I don't know. I told them about the four regulative principles. The four regulative principles. Oh, wait a minute. No meat eating, no sex, no intoxication. We're out of here. Zip. All out the door. They're not coming back for more. So we're serious. It requires something. It requires, well, we'll get into that in a moment, but sometimes we're asked, not only sometimes, and I mean, we have our eye camps, we have our food relief, we have our programs, but they're not really at the center of things. The Vaishnavas are compassionate, so it's a byproduct of Vaishnavas being compassionate. Prabhupada said no one should go hungry within 8 miles of a temple. We're a little off the track, but I think it's useful. Jayapataka Maharaj told me that he was, where if you've been to Mayapur and you know the Lotus building and you know where Prabhupada's room is, it's on the, we would say second floor, they say first floor. In India, they have a 0 floor. Ground floor is called 0 floor. Figure that one out. That's some latent Buddhist conditioning there. But where Prabhupada's room is, it's up a little higher. And he saw Prabhupada standing at the end, just so no one misunderstands what I'm saying next, after this. Where Prabhupada was looking out over the veranda. And Jayapataka Maharaj came, and he saw what Prabhupada was looking at. They had the big pit, where after, the prasadam hall was a little further away, and after everyone finished prasadam, clay cups, leaf plates. It's very organic. It's, 1970. Vedas are far ahead of recycling and being organic. And, no carbon footprint. The Vedas are already all on that one. So when you're finished with your plate, you throw the leaf plate and you throw the clay cup into a pit. And then every now and then they bury it and it all decomposes and they go, it makes a nice cycle of life. But in this pit, it's a big pit, about the size of this, half the size of this room, and 300 devotees taking prasadam. When they'd thrown all their leaf cups and leaf plates and cups there was an old lady and a few children shooing off some dogs. They were competing with some dogs. To find maybe there's a little doll left in one of the cups or a little sabji or something like that, So Prabhupada was just looking at the situation and Jayapataka Maharaj was commiserating with him. And then Jayapataka Maharaj said, Prabhupada, sometimes I feel so sorry for these people. Prabhupada's response was, why just sometimes? It says a great soul's heart melts. It's like butter. It melts, in the right situation. But a pure devotee's heart is like nectar. It's always flowing. It's always gentle and soft and flowing. So Prabhupada, at that point, Prabhupada started the Food for Life program, the prasadam distribution program in Mayapur. I couldn't take it home because they'll mix it with fish, but it's a gift who's that Ramakrishna and who's that other rascal? Vivekananda. They've got big statues of, we're off base, but it's all right. They have big statues of Vivekananda. You'll see him, he's in his turban and he's always posed. Like. Prabhupada said, you know what he's saying? Prabhupada said, you know what he's saying? Prabhupada said, he's saying, come kick on my face. Such a rascal. So it doesn't matter what you eat, it doesn't matter who you worship, all paths lead to the same. No. Tell that to the airport next time you want to fly somewhere. Buy a ticket to LA and want to fly to Singapore and say, well, all tickets go to the same place. Nice try. So, yes, out of Vaishnava compassion, these are natural things. We have our Bhaktivedanta hospital, we have so many things. But it's not really the heart of the Hare Krishna movement. The heart of the Hare Krishna movement is distributing the holy name and the message of Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and back home, back to Godhead. And I'll give you an example. The Peace Corps was started. One of the reasons the Peace Corps was started, there's a number of reasons it was started by John Kennedy in 1960, something like that. Because there's this saying, you can feed somebody for a day. You can give somebody a good hot meal, and you'll solve their problem for the day. But if you teach them to farm, you can solve their problem for life. You go in and set up an agricultural system. You put it, what do you call it? Irrigation. Cultivation, irrigation. So you teach them how to farm. Then you've solved the problem for life. So even on a mundane level, education is better than immediately alleviating the situation. Of course, you have to solve the immediate situation. But if you only solve the immediate situation, it keeps rotating back on you. And you're more or less like a dog chasing its tail. But by education, you go to the root of the thing. So real welfare work means to deal with the root of the thing. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But it's not that... And don't misunderstand this. Vishnu Chandmarsh told me one time, he was standing with a devotee, and there was an old granny, was picking up her grocery bags. They were in line buying something for Radha Damodar. And the old granny's bag, the bottom of the paper bag fell out. And all of her goods fell on the ground. Here's two young men, right? Nobody would bend over to help her pick it up. Well, there was a can of dog food in there, and there was some, canned, thing of eggs, Okay, fine, but help the old lady out. It's just so we're not saying be cold or callous, but at the same time, what is the use? You help them cross the street, and they just get hit by a bus on the other side, So the real thing is spiritual education, to go to the root of the thing. Prabhupada, it's from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So education is real welfare work. That's my point. Education is real welfare work. Everything else is blowing on the boil, or, it's dancing around the real issues. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, quoted by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and quoted by Srila Prabhupada, gives a classic example, which is just to this verse. It's that there was two boys. By the way, Malati Devi told us that Jamuna Devi told her that Srila Prabhupada told her. So that's the chain from Prabhupada to Jamuna to Malati Devi to us. That Krishna should be fed just like a hungry 16-year-old boy. Krishna's hungry. You feed him nicely, nice, opulent foodstuffs. So there were two boys, and the way the story goes, I heard Prabhupada tell it, and you listened to a tape or heard Prabhupada say it on a lecture, that there was, let's just pick age. Let's say one is 10 years old and the other boy is 6 years old. The 10-year-old boy is recovering from tuberculosis. Very careful diet. You've got to be careful what you feed this kid. Very careful. So he's living on barley water. Now he's a 10-year-old boy. You can wake up a 10-year-old boy in the middle of the night. They're ready to eat. I raised a young boy, and everyone knows. Everyone's been if you were a young boy, at least this time around. Everybody, they're hungry. You can feed them anytime. They're ready to go. So, and he's living on barley water. So the parents went out for some errand, told the younger boy, "You just watch after your brother. We'll be back in half hour. You just watch out for him. Keep an eye on him if he needs anything." As soon as the door shut, the parents were outside, out of earshot. That older brother called the younger brother and said, hey, in the fridge, jalebis, samosas, kachoris, bring it on. Eggplant parmesan. There's something we used to make called Damodar Deckers. Anyone remember Damodar Deckers? Oh. If you're ever in Tucson and Sandamani's getting ready for a feast, have her. It's eggplant, fried, battered and fried, and crispy. And in the middle there's lettuce, there's tomatoes, there's avocado, and then there's a slab of fried curd. And it's and nice tomato sauce. It's a sandwich. I didn't eat anything yesterday, so I have to admit to being a little hungry, in all honesty. If I ate that, it'd kill me, but there it is. Just so this boy's got visions of everything, Damodar Deckers and samosas dancing in his head. It's a nice prep. So the younger boy wants to help his brother. His motivation is good. He's motivated by love. He's doing, in his mind, the greatest welfare service. So he brings the Damodar Deckers and samosas and jalebis with ice cream and whipped cream on top. The older boy is so grateful. What happens? He almost kills his brother. Oh, the liver's all, jammed up, and the kid, sets him back 2 weeks. Almost killed him. So its intent is not sufficient. What do you have to do? If you want to do welfare, what do you have to do? You have to act in knowledge. You have to know what the real problem is. Otherwise, you make the situation worse. You get these so-called yogis, and who was that guy? I'm going to say the name. No, yeah, fill in the blank. There's so many. The art of living. They just pump out these bromides, and it's a trite trope. It sounds good, but it doesn't solve anything. It doesn't really mean anything when you boil it down. So there's that story of Prabhupada that the man asks, Prabhupada would do his translating work early in the morning. He was riding on a train. I heard this both from Jagadish, and I heard it from Harikesh, and I heard it from Ramaswar, and Satsvarupa Swami. So there it is. The province is good. Prabhupada didn't like to be disturbed. He was thinking for the next 10,000 years, how to choose every word carefully. So, and there were some Bengali, Brahmins, Mukherjee, Banerjee, Chatterjee. They wanted to slip in and chit-chat with Prabhupada. So the devotees were trying to block the compartment in Prabhupada's compartment. It's like rugby, and they were they slipped through. So Prabhupada was always a gentleman, yes. So they said, can you give us a blessing? We want a benediction. So what is that benediction? I just came from India, 2.5 months in Southeast Asia. Oh, give me a blessing, give me a blessing. You're on the bus, you're in the train, you're on the plane, you're waiting in the... Well, blessings, Swamiji, give me blessings. Stop and ask him, and what are those blessings? They're stumped. You're just supposed to be an ATM, and automatically they get somehow or other, their kid gets into college and their rheumatism clears up. So they asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada asked, so what is that blessing? The man said, "Nah, it's about my knee." Prabhupada made a face. No, that's a wrong thing. So the man said, he was a smart guy, can understand it. Okay, expand the circle of it. And happiness for my family. No, Prabhupada. Like concentric circles radiating out from the impact. And then, peace on earth, goodwill to all humans, whatever. Prabhupada said, no. Prabhupada said, you want my benediction? You want my blessings? And he pointed to renounced skinny little Satsarupa Swami. Take this saffron cloth. That's my blessing. Oh, man. They were out of there. Because, the goal was Prabhupada wanted to be left alone. So Prabhupada was joking and he accomplished his task. But he was also making a point that what is the real blessing in this world? To become further entangled in the thing? Is that really a blessing? To prolong one's suffering? So I wanted to read something from the, people say, just give me the truth. Just give me the bottom line. Just, all right, strip it from all the sugar coating. Just give me stark reality. I can take it. Just give it to me straight. Sometimes people say, it's nice, give it to me straight. Prabhupada would often ask, I heard Prabhupada say this a number of times. Someone would ask some silly question. Prabhupada would say, should I tell you the truth? Or Prabhupada would say, should I flatter you? Or should I tell you the truth? Try it sometimes when somebody asks you some, silly question and a question and answer after a class. Should I flatter you or should I tell you the truth? What are they going to say? They're always going to say, tell me the truth. And then, okay, buddy, you open the door, here it comes. So this is a section from the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam. And it's Markandeya Rishi. 9th chapter, it starts with text 6. And I just selected a few verses about it. It is the stark reality. It is the existential condition of the conditioned soul. This is what's going on. This is, washed of any kind of romance. Markandeya Rishi says, O lotus-eyed Lord, O crest jewel of the renowned personalities, although I'm satisfied simply by seeing you, I do wish to see your illusory potency, by whose influence the entire world, together with its ruling demigods, consider reality to be materially variegated. He wanted to see, how is this material world, how is it going on? How is everybody staying in it? And Prabhupada says one line from Prabhupada's purport. Markandeya Rishi is curious to witness the exact process by which Maya, the Lord's bewildering potency, casts living beings into illusion. Narayan, he was Darshan Narayan Rishi. Narayan Rishi said, so be it. But nothing happened. There was a what is it called, theatrical pause. One day, after some time, while Markandeya was performing his evening worship on the banks of the Pushpabhadra river, a great wind suddenly rose up. I'm just taking some selections. It's quite a dramatic section. At times he was engulfed with great whirlpools. Sometimes he was beaten by mighty waves, and sometimes the aquatic monsters threatened to devour him as they attacked one another. Sometimes he felt lamentation, bewilderment, misery, happiness, or fear. At other times he experienced such terrible illness and pain that he felt himself dying. So what happened is he was watching the whole world being the whole cosmic manifestation. Lord Vishnu breathes out, Lord Vishnu inhales. It's just one breath of Lord Vishnu. Just like a dream, it only, well, anyway, we'll get there in a second. So just all of a sudden, he's exhaled by Lord Vishnu, and he's riding through all the universe, up, down, birth, death, disease, old age, a king, Brahma, a worm, Indra, Gopa. Jivasya Jivanam, being eaten and eating others. The whole thing is just happening, Then he's sucked back in. Oh, geez. Then he's breathed back. He's back and forth. And it's just really quite frightening. Just then, the child inhaled, drawing Markandeya within his body like a mosquito. There the sage found the entire universe arrayed as it had been before dissolution. Seeing this, Markandeya was most astonished and perplexed. He saw before him, and it gives a whole description of the universal form. And just when he's starting to get a little peace, and what happens? Then Markandeya beheld the entire... As Markandeya beheld the entire creation, the infant, that's baby Krishna, exhaled, expelling the sage from his body and casting him back into the ocean of dissolution. In that vast sea he again saw the banyan tree growing on a tiny island and the infant boy lying there within a leaf. The child glanced at him. This is Krishna, baby Krishna, floating on a lotus in the whole cosmic creation. Glancing with the corner of his eye with a smile imbued with the nectar of love. And Markandeya took him into his heart through his eyes. Greatly agitated, the sage ran to embrace the transcendental personality of Godhead. But just as he was about to get him, the Lord disappeared. The great water and the dissolution of the universe all vanished as well, and in an instant Markandeya found himself back in his own hermitage, just as before. It was just like a dream. Wham! He went through all of that, birth, death, anxiety, so many. And then he's back at his ashram, sitting there. That's what this material world is. That's what the illusion is, that somehow or other we're going to sort it all out and we're going to find a happy space here and we're going to get on top of the curve and we're going to ride the wave. No, it's not happening. And that's the illusory energy. It's a great section, 12th chapter of the Bhagavatam, 12th canto, chapter 9. So, what time is it? Just like a dream, what is it, REM or rapid eye movement, dreams are only the few seconds. Even that, I think they're like 3 seconds. And we've all had, so many things happen. You go round and around. You have a dream. You ever have a dream that you dream you woke up, but you're actually still dreaming? Someone's chasing you, this and that's happening. They're quite, dreams can be quite long. This whole thing is just a dream. And Krishna's real well, he's putting us through it. Here's the point, because we've got to wrap up. This is the stark reality. It's meant to sober us. It's said that the 5 chapters of the 10th canto about the Bhakti, about the Ras Leela dance, those 5 chapters, Ras Leela, are the 5 life airs of the Bhagavatam. It is the very essence and purpose of the Bhagavatam to come to the point of understanding Krishna's Ras Leela. It's the apex of spiritual understanding. But Sukadev puts a codicil in there. He puts a condition that in order to enter into that understanding, one must be Dhira. One must be sober. One must be serious. One must have Dhira vision, Dhira darshan. And that Dhira, just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you can't have peace unless you can't have happiness unless you have peace. You can't have peace unless you have controlled senses. This is 2nd chapter, verse 66. It's a progression. Everybody wants to be happy. Can't have happiness unless you have peace. Okay. Can't have peace unless you can control senses. Okay. How do I get controlled senses? Well, you got to have a steady mind. Okay. How do you have a steady mind? You got to have spiritual intelligence, steady and transcendent intelligence. And an aspect of transcendent intelligence is to understand this vision. What's going on? Where am I really? I'm being tossed and turned. No, I'm done. And with that sobriety, with that vision, one can have detachment. And one can actually understand Krishna's Leela, Krishna's pastimes. So, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyan. But that's the intelligence required. So, real welfare work, real blessings from Krishna, because that's the premise of this verse, the premise of the purport, and the premise of this class. Real welfare work, Real blessing is to help, is to get that intelligence, that sobriety, to understand where I am and what's going on in this world. And to give that knowledge to others is the real welfare work. And with that, one can actually enter into Krishna's pastimes and get out of this material world. So we can end there. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai. So read that. It's a great section. It's the end of the Bhagavatam. I was thinking it's like a good kick in the pants at the very end. Wake. If you didn't get it yet, you got it now. You know, if you didn't clue in, here's one last chance.